Alrighty, well, hello, hello. My name is Alex McEnerney. I will be giving my final presentation on my time at Scotland USA Division. So, hi, I'm Alex McEnerney. I'm a senior here at FGCU. I'm majoring in communication with a focus in communication studies. I have minors in both entrepreneurship and management, and my goal is to work in sports. You know, excuse me. I grew up playing basketball my whole life. I'm addicted to it. I love the game. I would love to work in the NBA. That's really my career goal. But I'll settle for NFL, MLB, NHL, really any of the pro sports leagues. I would love to just work in, just to be around sports for a career. Sounds like a dream to me. So now, just to break down, my internship employer, Scotland. Um, what they are is a premier transportation and logistics provider specializing in hauling time-sensitive refrigerated produce with the use of state-of-the-art equipment. So really what this means is those 54-foot trucks that you see on the highway with the big trailer behind them, they're hauling, goods. They're hauling produce, they're hauling, you know, really anything that you can think of. The chair you're sitting in right now, the bed you're sitting in right now, wherever you may be, that was on a truck at some point. But we at Scotland specialize in time-sensitive refrigerated produce, like I mentioned. So my actual internship title was a logistics account manager, and really I did a couple things in this role, but the main thing I utilized was McLeod software. So now what this is, it's an online load board that I'm on every day. All the work at Scotland excuse me, all of the work at Scotland requires the usage of this McLeod software. Really, what we do day to day cannot be done without it. So, you really have to get it down, you go through an extensive training program and you really get to know the software. So I utilize that day to day at Scotland. And also, I work under a multi-million dollar account manager directly. I'm a part of his team. There's five of us. I'll get into that more later. And it's actually a funny story how I discovered this opportunity. It was at the FGCU Spring Career Fair this year, 2021. And basically, I had signed up for this career fair. It was through the business school. And I want to say there was like anywhere from 5 to 8 companies were going to be there looking for interns specifically. And they had us rank the companies in the order we wanted to speak to them in order so you could get in touch with the companies you really wanted to work with over the ones you really didn't want to work with. And to be honest, I had Scotland at dead last, whatever that number was, either five, eight, I can't quite remember. Excuse me. But I had them at dead last. I really didn't know much about them, so I just, I put them right at the bottom. And what happened was one of the companies that I had chosen in my top three, excuse me again, I'm so sorry. One of the companies that I had in my top three had backed out. One of their, recruiters, I believe it was, got sick, whatever the case may be, they backed out. So they said, "Would you mind, listening to Scotland, being in that session?" So I really needed an internship at the time, so I said, "Yeah, why not?" And the rest is history from there. And so here are just a couple pictures. Upper left picture, that's me working in McLeod at my desk. And then, attached to that is a zoomed in shot of what my setup looks like. It's a dual monitor setup. You can kind of see McLeod. It looks confusing, it is, but you get to learn it over time. And then that's actually the new headquarters for Skyline USA. It's going to be right on Alico Road, right off of the exit you take to get on to Alico, right near the Gulf Coast Town Center, right next to 75. It's a brand new building. You can tell it's 3 stories. There's going to be a gym, a full bar, basketball court. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited to continue working there in the fall. So to go into career alignment, really what this internship did was gave me experience in the field of logistics and supply chain management, which was extremely helpful, extremely awesome to really get a firsthand experience in this industry because I really thought that I wanted to be in this industry beforehand. And I still do to a certain extent, just more so on the sports side. A lot of entry level positions in sports are ticket sales, and that's all logistics and even higher up into the organizations, there's international departments. There's just a lot of logistics that really go behind the scenes in these sports organizations. So I feel like I got a good look at that industry from here. Also, just professional communication. I'm working on a team with, they're all full time employees, professionals. My account manager is a multi-million dollar broker. So it really requires professional communication and emails. And, I'm on the phone all day with truck drivers, carriers, customers. Constant professional communication is required. And both of these things can definitely be used in my future career. So to boil it down to three learning outcomes, number one was McLeod Mastery, that online load board I had mentioned. Daily utilization of this software. I can't stress this enough. My days in and out, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, I'm on McLeod software, managing the load board, making sure drivers checked in, checked out, making sure they loaded the right product, getting check calls when they're on the roads, getting a location update, a reefer temperature update, making sure the trailer's running the temperature it's supposed to be. So that's number one. And also, I can definitely use that going into another career industry, another career field. Just having hands-on experience with that online board, I think will really help translate into my future career. And networking would be number two for me. Just daily communication, like I mentioned, with these carriers, these customers, my own teammates, people throughout Scotland. I've had conversations with the vice president of Scotland. I've had conversations with many general managers at Scotland. You're constantly meeting people, networking, building up, your clientele if you're an account manager or if you're just on the team, you're the face, you're the day-to-day communication with these people. And number three would be my industry knowledge. You know, this was an industry I had little to no knowledge um, about before going into this internship. And through this through you go through a week of training, you go through, just the daily tasks at Scotland, you really get a good knowledge on this trucking industry. And it's a rough one, let me tell you, but it's rewarding for many. So just to get into my supervisors, so while working at Scotland, I worked under two supervisors, Adam Stachersky and Paul Fibby. So Adam Stachersky, he actually hired me. He's the general manager of Scotland USA Fort Myers North location. There's a Fort Myers North and a Fort Myers South. Fort Myers North, where I worked, is over by Fort Myers Beach, and he's the manager of that one. He actually hired me. He was at FGCU Career Fair. I talked to him. We had communication for a few weeks before I finally went through with applying with the internship. And what Adam does is he oversees my overall internship performance. So, he's there kind of guiding me along the way. If I have questions, he's my guy to ask. If anything regarding my internship, I talk to Adam about. And Paul Fibby is the account manager who I work directly under day to day. I'm on Paul Fibby's team. I work with him, and he's actually an FGCU alum. Um, I work under his team, like I said. And Paul, he's been on the President's Club at Scotland USA for 5 straight years. And what that means is to make the President's Club at Scotland, you have to do over $1 million in profit a year. And he's been on that list for 5 straight years, and he clears 1 million easily. This year, he's on track for $3 million. Um, so yeah, Paul's a beast. He oversees my day-to-day work. I work under his team, like I mentioned. And this is Paul. He was on the baseball team here at FGCU. Had to throw that one in there. So, in terms of my contribution, my biggest success with Scotland, I believe, has been my day to day work for my account manager, Paul, for his book of business. I work day to day on his team. I make these check calls. I make sure everything's, going okay with these drivers, with these carriers. I make sure they checked in, checked out, loaded the correct information. So just being there day to day and helping out with those little things really allows Paul to focus on his customers, make sure they're happy, get new customers. He's big picture and I'm kind of on the ground, boots on the ground, if you will. And of course, I couldn't talk about my contribution without going into I have to make sure my turtles are fed each and every day. Okay, so to get into professionalism, I really grew as a professional during my time at Scotland. Being professional each day really is key. You got to dress the part. You got to really, you have to embrace this business. It can be a rough business. I won't lie to you, but if you keep your professionalism at a high, you're setting yourself up for success. And at Scotland, I realized my work does matter. Excuse me, being professional does matter. I'm on a team with other professionals, full-time staff, and they don't look at me as just some intern. They look at me as a real member of the team that can contribute positively. So I like to keep that in mind. So to get into connection, I really saw classroom concepts applied in a real workforce setting. Like I mentioned, I major in communication. I minor in entrepreneurship, business management. So as you could imagine, I've had the whole a whole realm of concepts, but the two main ones that's stood out to me at Scotland was teamwork and communication. Just it's so important to be a good team member, to have good communication, to be able to just get your day-to-day tasks done. And I learned a lot of this at FGCU. And this opportunity has just allowed me to grow in so many ways as a professional. On a resume, this is going to be um, such a great opportunity to have to be able to make these connections, whether I stay in this industry or not, just being able to really work in the real world, if you will. Uh, there's nothing like it. It's been the best opportunity. So, overall, my time at Scotland was substantial. I just, I really have loved my time here. I'm planning on continuing my internship into the fall. I'm going to continue to be on Paul Fibby's team and learn day in and day out, more about this business. I'm really just trying to be the best version of myself, build my resume up, build my portfolio, network, and I've been able to do this all at Scotland. So that's my presentation. Thank you guys for listening.